with a W. Thank you very much. Hello. Now introducing our Seminole Nation royalty, our princesses. Little Miss Seminole Nation of 25-26, Gia Burgess. Our 25-26 Junior Miss Seminole Nation, Taya Jones. Our 25-26 Miss Seminole Nation, Olivia Waskini.
Hello, how are you all? My name is G. George Burgess, and I am 9 years old, and I attend to New Lima Elementary School, Mado, and I am the 2025-2026 Little Miss Seminole Nation, Mado.
Lidos, Seminole, Idola, Oklahoma, Imo Mogagi, Saja Fetch Lidos, Ochizi Lidos, Nagozi Lidos, Hewa, Miss Seminole Nation 2025-2026, Seminole State, Mahakajuko Bonidos. Hello, my name is Olivia Walsky. I am a proud member of the Great Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. I'm a Cheesy Band and Bear Clan, and I serve as your 2025-2026 Miss Seminole Nation of Oklahoma, and I'm currently a freshman at Seminole State. Mado.
Next up we have Jalen Jones, who is going to sing a Seminole hymn for us.
Jalen Jones, Hi, my name is Jalen Jones. I'm a member of Seminole Nation. Today I'm gonna sing a song. And one thing that I want to encourage to a lot of you, it doesn't matter what race you belong to, what tribe you belong to, what band or clan, tribal town, but always be proud of who you are. Always be proud of your ancestors and where you come from, especially being Native American. Because being young at a young age, we're always looked at too differently. As all we're going to turn into is alcoholics, and that's what our family's known of. But you, being who you are, being young, you can change that. You can break that and do better for yourself and for your family. And so this song that I'm going to sing, it's called Hallelujah, and it's a slow song. This is what our ancestors used to sing walking on the Trail of Tears. This gave them the comfort and the strength to walk all those miles from Florida all the way to Oklahoma. And and so sometimes if you don't know it, just listen to it, and there's a meaning to it. And this is what they sung when they were sick. It was cold. It was freezing out there. And this is how they made it from where they were. And one thing I know that we're proud of in our family is we had a couple that were 12 and 10 that made it on the Trail of Tears, and those stories passed down from generations to generations. And so always remember just to be proud of who you are.
Next, we're going to talk about, I don't know how many of y'all are aware, and maybe you've seen it in the news here lately, even on some Netflix shows. But the MMIW and MMIP, how many of y'all are aware of that, what that means? Missing, murder, indigenous women. Raise your hand. Okay, not too many. I see a lot of red shirts though and red handprints on y'all's faces up there. Do you know what that means? You too. Yeah, I'm messing with the audience now. The handprint on your face. Red handprint, where that comes from. Well, it's a symbolism for, we wear the color red because the spirits do, and the people and the families that wear it want their missing and murdered loved ones to see them and to come to them. The red is traditional through many nations, from our nation to the northern nations, as a symbol of spirits. When you do red tobacco ties, you want the spirits to see it, the tobacco that's in there. So the loved one that you're missing will see that and see you in it and come to you. And then we use it as a national symbol for the awareness of how many of our women are taken, murdered, or in some cases even trafficked. The whole purpose of the red hand on the face is another symbolism that we use it to let the public know when we're out that it's not about this. So we cover it with that red hand to show it's about the person that we're missing. And it's about the person that might have been murdered, in hopes that we find them and we get their awareness out there, because this has been going on for too long. Oklahoma and our I-40 has been a hub for trafficking of Native American women and men. And MMIP is for missing, murdered, indigenous peoples, which represents men and women. And MMIW was started for missing, murdered, indigenous women. Both collaborate together on cases. I think we have some youth here that have also done rallies. Don't speak on what you guys do. No. Okay. Well, is there any questions? The audience like to ask anything, any of you guys? Me, myself, I've been doing search and rescue since 2008. I'm certified with Air Force Rescue. I have my BIS. I've gone through the national school with Coast Guard and Air Force Rescue. My situation started in 2008 with my oldest sister. She was taken. We were able to find her and her suspect, and he was sentenced, and then it went on to my middle sister, was taken 2 years later by somebody she befriended at an Applebee's that she worked with. I was able to find her 3 months later, and from Tulsa into Cushing, Oklahoma, along with 2 other girls. And then my youngest sister was taken out of Tulsa and was being trafficked from the Flying J's from Tulsa to Oklahoma City to Dallas, and we were able to stop the trafficking ring through that. And in between those cases, I've helped work many other cases. I don't know if y'all know what the Casey Alert is. I don't know if you know the still smoking cases, but there's a lot of cases that I've worked from in between those for indigenous people, but I'll look for anybody. You don't have to be native for me to find you. But when you are, we have more assets that we can use on our end to do that. But that's how I got involved with MMIW. Before there was an MMIW, before there was an MMIP, before the McGirt law was drawn, because at that time when my sister was missing, counties didn't care. The local police didn't care. We had to use the BIA. We had to use the FBI. And since then, moving fast forward to 2025, now county's more involved. Now, especially Seminole County, they work great with our live horse. More local PDs are involved. They've even come up with their own task force. The BIA, we created a missing murder unit last year, which was something new that we desperately needed, and that's throughout the United States and reservations. But some reservations don't have live horse, so they still have to use the BIA as their law enforcement. But I was asked to explain that in the Red Shirt Day and what it represents, and the hands on your faces, and thank you. And I know that the families thank you for keeping their voices out there. And I appreciate it, and I know the active agencies, because we still have a lot of cases out there and people we're looking for. How many of you guys have Life 360 on your phones? Yes, yes. That is a great way to stay connected with your families. So if something happens, we are able to find you, or you know there's an emergency button there. I always push for Life 360, especially for kids. Some kids' parents are older. Some kids have their grandparents. And I've heard arguments, well, they just want to keep up with me. And then I tell the kid, well, don't you want to know where your mom's at? Don't you want to know where your grandma's at? Like, don't you worry about them too and what they're doing? Because it's also a way for you to help keep up with your family. So I encourage, if you don't have Life 360, I encourage you to get it, because it is helpful for us to go looking for you and for your family to keep up with you. It's not them trying to overstep, boundaries of being overprotected. The reality is, if something happens, it helps us find you sooner. And you can keep up with them and, catch them at the grocery store and say, while you're there, give me this. I think next we're going to talk, thank you guys for letting me speak on that. My name is Novaji, Jacob Wind, it'd be Novaji Hoberly, and I really appreciate the time. And I think next we're going to talk about Orange Shirt Day. You all know what that's about? Does anybody in the audience know what Orange Shirt Day is about? Okay, it's about every child matters. A long time ago, the U.S. government came up with a theory, kill the Indian and save the man. And in that theory, they created boarding schools where they would just come take our children and force them into simulation into these boarding schools. What we have found in Canada, behind these boarding schools, a lot of these children didn't come home. And at that time, the Crown, which is in Canada, wouldn't answer, the Vatican wouldn't answer to where they had put all these children. And in time, we eventually found them, and there were mass grave sites at these boarding schools. So they killed more Indians than they saved any man. And the orange shirt comes from Phyllis Jack. She was 73, put into a boarding school, and she wore an orange shirt that her grandma had given her. And she was so proud of that shirt. They didn't have much money. And for her grandma to come up with this for her, it really meant a lot to her. And so her first day of school that she was actually excited for, when she arrived, the nuns took that shirt from her, made fun of her, and then put her into their own clothing. And at that time, she was no longer, which most boarding schools did, you were no longer allowed to speak your language. As a young man, you were not allowed to have long hair, so they cut our hair. And you would be punished for speaking your language. You would be punished for having long hair. You would be punished for being Indian. So that is one situation where the orange shirt comes from. It's from Phyllis Jack. I think her last name is Webstad, but I call her Phyllis Jack. This is what I met her as. And in return, we searched those boarding schools, and we were able to recover a lot of those. I think last I checked, we're at 6,000. And believe it or not, Oklahoma had the largest amount of boarding schools in the United States. And we're in the process of searching those and being allowed to. But that's what that one shirt means. Every child matters. And then in 2013, another young girl at the age of 15 was killed. I think her name was Pendleton was her last name. Hadea, I can't say her first name, but Pendleton. And to honor her friends and family wore orange as well. So there's two cases of why we wear orange shirts on Orange Shirt Day. And that's just to represent those children who never made it back from those boarding schools, and the children that did, that were abused in those schools and still deal with that trauma to this day. I always say something about that too, because the ones that made it back will never be the same, and they tell those horror stories. And I've done interviews with veterans that we were doing for the Library of Congress, so where they could have their stories told for their children's children when they came. They just go with the name of it and they talk about World War I, World War II, Vietnam. there was other forms of punishment. But when they took those children away from the boarding schools, they simulated them into that type of punishment, and they never got to grow and learn on real discipline for children. So when they got out, the only discipline that they knew was spanking and swatting. And you ever watch movies where the teachers hit them in the hands with the rulers? That was real, and that was minor compared to what they really did to the lady. But they brought that back to home, and then had children at home, and the only way they learned how to discipline was through what they were taught at those boarding schools. And I learned that from some of those survivors that tell their stories. But we honor them, and we honor those that we're still trying to bring home by wearing their orange and the orange shirts and saying, you know, that every child matters. Mado, for letting me tell you all about that.
Okay, at this time we're going to ask our realty to come back out here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have them describe what is the patterns on their regalia. And a lot of people get us confused with what we wear. They call them costumes. You know, they're not costumes. These are clothes that people make for us. And what it is, it's just their talent and their love. And so we're going to have the girls explain what each patchwork means that they have on.
Hashtags don't go. About my regalia is fish, and the second row of pattern is family, and the third pattern is alligator eye, and the jewelry was given to me from family, and there.
Hello, my name's like I said earlier. I just want to say, if you're Native, please learn about your culture, learn about why you wear what you wear, learn about what they used to wear, learn how it's grown over time, or why they used what they used. For Seminoles, we're much different than the other tribes. I don't see other tribes with patchwork, which is what we're wearing on our skirts. And our men, they wear vests, and they add patchwork on their shirts now. My patchwork on my skirts are man on horse for this first one. Each one has a different meaning. This one is a dragonfly, and this one down here is lightning. They represent different things. For some people, when they get skirts made, they'll have their clan on there. They'll have different meanings, like Gia has family and the alligator eye for her clan right here. Dresses I've had made for me have different meanings, but this one is just like a contemporary wear. I just get to wear it and it looks real pretty. The capes are something that originated in Florida. In Florida, the mosquitoes are really bad, so they kind of use this as like a protection when they're outside, and so they don't get bit up a lot and all of that. And we just brought it with us while we moved to Oklahoma. I don't have any moccasins on, but they usually wear pucker toe moccasins. My necklaces, they're all different types. This is a Seminole doll necklace. So this is just like a miniature Seminole woman. And then there's a baby here too. And I have a dime necklace, and they use old dimes for this. In Florida, they're more traditional in Florida, but these dime necklaces were used to show your wealth. And the more dimes you had, the shinier you had, the more fancy they were. So I just want to encourage you guys to learn more about your culture, your regalia, your language. Learn your language. If it's just one word, 2 words, your introduction, just so you can share it with other people. And if you're not native, please respect what we wear or your friends or peers or anything wear. It's just us being proud of our culture, and I think everyone deserves that. And just encourage each other, speak words of encouragement, and learn more about your culture. Happy Native Heritage Month. Thank you.
So Taya, I don't know why she's nervous, but she's a little nervous, but what she has on has 2 different meanings. So it's the same patchwork, but what it is in Florida it's rattlesnake. And in Oklahoma we call it shining spirit. And it's the same ones, the 3 type. And again, that's just down from Florida. You know, they usually have the same kind of patchwork. It can be smaller strips, larger strips. But one thing I do want to go off of what Olivia said is, you see a lot of Seminole women wearing long skirts, and there's a meaning for that. And that meaning is, when they walk the Trail of Tears, that's how the women hid their kids, and they sung Baby Noja. And that's how they made sure that they didn't get their kids from them to be killed or murdered. And so that's what they did, is they would get under their skirts, and they would hold on to each leg as they walked. And, so the Baby Noja, if you ever heard that song, that's how they put their baby to sleep, and they had to give their baby up. And they still had to move forward on the Trail of Tears. There was no stopping. And so, that's why they always tell you, our elders always say, never put your skirt on upwards. Go above your head and bring it down, because that was made with love. And they took their time and they prayed for anything that you wear. They prayed for it. That way you could wear it every time you go somewhere. So, those are just the meetings that we bring, and so our girls they travel around Oklahoma and out of state. They represent the Seminole Nation very well. Every year is a new group of girls, and this is our new group as of September. But they travel, they honor all of our people, and honor our Seminole Nation, and so, again, just be proud of who you are, and always ask questions. There's a lot. Some kids don't know what band they belong to or what clan, and it's really dying out. So if you ever want to know, just ask. Just ask. Help me find my clan, find my band. Teddy's Miccosukee in Bear Clan. Gia is Ocheezy Band and Alligator Clan, and Olivia's Ocheezy Band and Bear Clan. So your clan's kind of where you come in as family. Okay, so we might be related or something. So it's really cool, good to know. So again, we just want to say what up.
Very good. What is your patchwork mean?
Family.
My patchwork was also done by one of the second chiefs of the Seminole bands, Kimura, and it is for the Bear Clan. I am also Bear Clan. I know we had so many Bear Clans in here today. And then I'm wearing a gorget that is an honorable thing to have. It was gifted to me at the Seminole Museum in Wewoka by some other warriors and my grandmother. They actually surprised me with it, with Lori Melton also beaded me this bear paw that has 4 direction colors in it, which are red, white, black, and yellow. If y'all didn't know that. And I'm wearing one of our traditional yarn belts, which has our eternal fire colors, which is red, black, white, red, white, yellow, black, and then you add orange. A lot of designs, people will just do the red, yellow, white, and black, and that's just the 4 directions, 4 colors. But when you add the orange to it, to the Seminole and the Muskogee, means the eternal fire, which can also represent one of our tribal towns. Arvika, I think I'm pretty sure that's their colors. And then my patchwork here was actually done by Seminole too, which I think is just the eternal fire as well. We think, Jalen. Yeah. I forgot to ask her, I just liked it. So, got it, not black, and kind of simulates that. And then Lori Melton beaded me this MMIW pennant. She didn't know what she was going to do with it, and I saw her with it. I thought she was going to make earrings. And then one day she came up to my office and had it on a rope necklace and gifted it to me. That was quite an honor to receive as well. But our patchwork tells us who we are. A long time ago, a Native American child could run into another nation and know who that nation was. So say mixed between this whole crowd here, I'm sure we have Choctaws, right? There are Choctaws in here? Yeah? Yeah? Chickasaws? Muskogees? Oh, yeah. And then Seminoles? Cherokees and Kiowas. So as a child, you could walk up to somebody and see their patchwork and know their regalia and know who they were. And though we all spoke different languages, we also had a type of sign language too that we spoke to each other in. So each nation could at least talk to each other in that way, if not in their language. The Seminoles and the Muskogees all kind of have the same language, but there are different dialects to that language depending what band you're from. If you're Miccosukee, if in Muskogee it's Yuchi. If you're Yuchi, they have different dialects, but those are the only two that have the most connected, similar language. But being in here, you guys will see, and in this area, you'll see most of the patchwork like this because this is a Seminole reservation. And outside this, like if you ever went to New Mexico, the Pueblo, the Dene, they all have different type of patchwork, and even the way they bead is different than the way we bead. But that helps separate us because we're many nations, and we are all different in a lot of different ways, from our creators to our ceremonies. Gia wants to sing. Okay. All right, Gia. Mado. Please get this mic quick.
Hello, how are you? My name is G. George Burgess, and today I am singing Nicosape Famana. It's a prayer song about our preachers, our loved ones, and the Christians that are here before us. They dwell here, that they have gone home to Jesus.
We're for us, Mado, and the youth that sat down here with us in support, Mado and Jalen James for his song. And I'm over to you, Emily, and I thank you guys for coming down. Mado.
Okay, at this time, we want to let the middle school kids lead first.